Welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, where we bring you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. My name is Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us again. In the headlines, Nigeria grants asylum to Guinea-Bissau opposition candidate. EFCC places former AGF Malami on daily interrogation schedule. First Lady Oluremi Tinubu calls for national support to achieve HIV-free Nigeria by 2030. Former Chairman Ono Petition Senate seeks rejection of Mr. Benno Omokri's ambassadorial nomination. Governor Mbah launches high-tech drones equipment to strengthen Enugu security. Kogi Council Chair shuts down filling stations over alleged fuel supply to bandits. On business news, reps query Azura Power Plant over undisclosed 18 billion naira excess tariff payment. FCT enforcement targets CBN IBRD banks over millions in arrears. On the foreign scene, U.S. envoy heads to Moscow as President Zelensky rallies European support. South Asia floods kills over 1,200, displaced millions. On sports, Real Sociedad coach praises Umar Sadiq's comeback. Juventus striker Dusan Vlahovic out until February with groin injury. Now the news. Nigeria has granted asylum to Guinea-Bissau's opposition presidential candidate, Mr. Fernando Diaz da Costa, after he reported threats to his life following last week's military takeover. Mr. Diaz is currently under protection at the Nigerian embassy in Bissau. The political situation in Guinea-Bissau escalated sharply after the military announced a coup shortly after the disputed presidential election. Both President Umaru Sissoco Embalo and Mr. Diaz claimed victory before the official results were released, heightening tension across the country. Amid the growing insecurity, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu authorized safe passage and protection for Mr. Diaz based on credible intelligence pointing to threats against him. The decision was communicated to the President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Toure, through a formal letter from Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Yusuf Tugar. Nigeria also requested additional security support from the ECOWAS stabilization mission in Guinea-Bissau to reinforce protection at the embassy premises. Special Assistant on Media and Communication Strategy to Honorable Tugar, Mr. Al-Qasim Abdul Qadir, confirmed that the move reflects Nigeria's long-standing leadership in promoting regional peace, democratic governance and stability in West Africa. Following the coup, ECOWAS leaders held an emergency virtual summit and suspended Guinea-Bissau from the bloc until democratic governance is restored. For now, Mr. Diaz remains under Nigerian protection as regional diplomats continue pushing for a political settlement and a return to civilian rule. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has placed former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, on a strict daily interrogation schedule throughout the month of December as part of its ongoing investigation into the alleged diversion of $490 million Abacha loot recovered through a mutual legal assistance MLAT arrangement. According to a senior EFCC official, Mr. Malami, who was questioned on Saturday, has been barred from leaving Nigeria for the next 30 days. His passport has been seized in line with standard investigative procedure, and he is required to report to the EFCC headquarters in Abuja every day from December 1 to December 31. The Commission's investigators insist that the daily reporting is necessary because of the volume of documents to be reviewed, the complexity of the case, and the seriousness of the allegations. The EFCC maintains that Mr. Malami must account for the status and movement of the recovered funds, though the Commission has not formally accused him of theft. A fact sheet prepared by investigators outlines multiple issues requiring clarification, including the management of the $490 million recovered from foreign authorities. The EFCC has stated that it will release its findings upon the conclusion of a thorough review. The former minister is expected to continue reporting daily as the probe progresses, with further sessions scheduled across the month. First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu has called on Nigerians to fully support the federal government's renewed commitment to eliminating HIV and AIDS in the country by the year 2030. She made the appeal at the 2025 World AIDS Day commemoration held at the State House Banquet Hall in Abuja. Senator Tinubu emphasized that national unity, shared responsibility, and sustained momentum are essential to achieving an HIV-free Nigeria. She noted that the day serves as a moment for reflection, appreciation of progress, and recommitment to the goal of ending the epidemic. The First Lady acknowledged Nigeria's significant progress over the years, especially in prevention, treatment, and care. However, she warned that stigma and discrimination continue to undermine the country's efforts, stressing the need for communities to treat affected persons with dignity and compassion. Highlighting recent advancements, Senator Tinubu pointed to the prioritization of eliminating mother-to-child transmission, improved pediatric treatment access, and strengthened systems supported by the Global Fund and the National AIDS and STDs Control Program (NSSCP). She noted that these efforts have been pivotal in safeguarding mothers and children. She also referenced the Free to Shine campaign implemented through the Organization of African First Ladies for Development (OFLAD), which promotes the elimination of HIV, hepatitis, and syphilis by 2030. According to her, the initiative reinforces political commitment across Africa to ensure early testing, treatment, and stigma reduction. Despite the progress, the First Lady raised concerns about Nigeria's continued reliance on donor funding. She welcomed the federal government's recent approval of $200 million to support HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria interventions, and disclosed that the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA, is working with state governments to entrench long-term sustainability of programs. Former chairman of members of the Enugu State House of Assembly and Southeast spokesman to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Honorable Denge Joseph Ono, has submitted a formal protest letter to the President of the Senate, urging lawmakers to reject the confirmation of Mr. Renu Omokri as an ambassador designate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In his letter, Honorable Ono described himself as a patriot and a stakeholder in the country's global image. He stated that although he has consistently promoted the policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he feels compelled to strongly oppose the nomination of Mr. Omokri. Honorable Ono argues that Mr. Omokri's past statements, public conduct, and documented activities pose a risk to Nigeria's national interest and international reputation. He asserted that confirming Mr. Omokri as an ambassador would undermine the country's diplomatic integrity and send a wrong signal to the global community. Honorable Ono further alleged that certain documents previously circulated internationally, which were later discredited, were promoted by Mr. Omokri and used by foreign advocacy organizations in shaping perceptions about Nigeria. He argued that appointing Mr. Omokri to represent Nigeria abroad could create doubts about the credibility of Nigeria's diplomatic processes and the integrity of security screenings conducted by the Department of State Services (DSS). According to Honorable Ono, confirming Mr. Omokri would damage the moral standard expected of Nigerian diplomats and could suggest that past accusations he made against the president might have been validated by his appointment. Honorable Ono maintained that the Senate must ensure that Nigeria's diplomatic appointments reinforce national credibility and protect the country's image globally. Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Mbah, has inaugurated a new set of high-tech security equipment to reinforce safety across the state. The items procured by the Enugu State Security Trust Fund (ESSTF) include 2 advanced drones, 10 Hilux patrol vehicles, 40 motorcycles, 400 bulletproof vests, and 400 bulletproof helmets. The governor said the new assets will support ongoing security upgrades such as the state's command and control center, AI-powered surveillance cameras, and over 150 distress response squad vehicles. He noted that violent crime in Enugu has dropped significantly, but emphasized the need for continuous vigilance and investment. Representing the ESSTF chairman, Mr. Nat Uday, said the equipment will further ensure criminals have no safe haven, while the executive secretary of the fund, Engineer Chinedu Ani, explained that the newly acquired vertical takeoff and landing drones have long-range, AI-equipped cameras capable of tracking movements across the state. A trustee of the fund, Right Reverend Onyekachi Onya, highlighted the strategic importance of securing Enugu, stressing that the state plays a central role in the safety of the entire southeast region. The executive chairman of Kababunu local government area, Honorable Barrister Zacchaeus Dari Michael, has shut down a NIPCO filling station in Kaba for alleged involvement in supplying petrol to bandits operating in nearby forest areas. The action was carried out with the support of operatives of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC). The closure followed routine intelligence monitoring, during which a truck with a large storage tank was intercepted. Findings by the local government indicated that the truck had made repeated purchases of unusually large quantities of fuel before moving towards suspected criminal hideouts in Kiri forest axis and routes leading to Niger State. The local government stated that the filling station violated an existing ban on the sale of fuel in jerry cans, drums, and oversized tanks introduced to disrupt the supply chain to criminal groups. The council maintained that anyone aiding criminal activities through fuel supply would be treated as a threat to community safety. The impounded truck, the suspects, and the seized fuel are currently in custody, with investigations ongoing. The local government reaffirmed its commitment to ensuring that no fuel supply networks support criminal operations within the area. In response, the chairman of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Kogi West Zone, Elder Mike Shegun Toluhi, dismissed the allegations, ascribing them as unfounded. He maintained that the NIPCO station in Kaba has a record of transparent operation and has no association with any criminal network. This is Comfort TV, the channel news. Will return shortly with business, foreign, and sports news. Many thanks for staying with us on Comfort TV, the channel news. In the world of business, the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating power sector reforms and expenditure from 2007 to 2024 has demanded an explanation from the Azura Edo Independent Power Plant over its failure to disclose 18 billion naira received from the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC (NBET) in 2023. The query was issued by the committee chairman, Honorable Ibrahim Aliyu, during the resumed investigative hearing held at the National Assembly complex in Abuja. According to the committee, records showed that Azura received more than 18 billion naira in excess tariff payments and other settlements from NBET between January and June 2023, but the inflow was missing from the company's written submission despite a request for full financial disclosure. Azura's head of legal and compliance, Mr. Akim Olabende, acknowledged the omission and attributed it to a misunderstanding of the documentation required by the lawmakers. He assured that the company would provide all outstanding financial records, including details of allocations, loans, grants, bank settlements, and other inflows linked to the federal government. Committee members reminded the company of its constitutional obligation to submit complete financial information and warned that further non-compliance could attract enforcement action. The committee also granted a new appearance date to the managing director of Yola Electricity Distribution Company, Engineer Abdurrahman Isa, who is expected to present his company's financial records at a later hearing. NBET, which purchases power from generation companies under power purchase agreements and sells to distribution companies, reportedly paid Azura more than 18 billion naira in 2023 under capacity obligations and excess tariff statements. The Azura Edo Power Plant, commissioned in 2018 as a 461 megawatt open cycle gas turbine facility, operates under a take-or-pay arrangement requiring NBET to make payments whether or not the national grid takes the full output. The committee is currently reviewing how these payments were recorded, disclosed, and utilized as part of a wider examination of federal government spending in the power sector over the last 17 years. Still on business, the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA) has begun enforcement on 1,095 property titles, including those owned by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN), IBRD, and 12 Nigerian banks for unpaid ground rent, C of O bills, penalty fees, and land use conversion charges. The affected properties are in Asokoro, Maitama, Garki, and Wuse districts. Enforcement followed multiple notices and the expiration of a 14-day grace period on November 25. Among the properties at risk, CBN has 3 plots with 92.28 million naira in arrears. UBA PLC owes 411 million naira, while IBRD, First Bank, Guaranty Trust Bank, and other legacy banks also have outstanding dues. The FCTA's action highlights its drive to enforce compliance and secure revenue from property obligations within the Federal Capital Territory. Onto the foreign scene, Zelensky rallies European support. President Donald Trump's special envoy, Mr. Steve Witkoff, has traveled to Moscow to hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin on a U.S. brokered plan aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. The plan, widely regarded as favorable to Russia, has drawn intense scrutiny from Kyiv, which has been pushing for significant revisions to protect its territorial interests. Meanwhile, President of Ukraine, Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky, is in Paris engaging European leaders to rally political and financial support. He aims to strengthen Ukraine's negotiating position and secure commitments for aid and military assistance in the event of renewed escalation. This week's diplomatic moves could determine the course of the conflict, with potential implications for European security, energy markets, and regional stability. Both sides are facing domestic pressures, with citizens and political factions closely monitoring developments and demanding results. The U.S. brokered plan includes proposal on ceasefires, troop withdrawals, and territorial arrangements, though details remain largely confidential. Observers suggest that any agreement could influence not only Ukraine-Russia relations, but also NATO strategy and transatlantic diplomacy. As diplomacy unfolds, global attention is focused on whether negotiations will lead to a breakthrough or a prolonged stalemate, with consequences for millions of civilians affected by the war. Massive floods and landslides across Indonesia, Sri Lanka, and Thailand have killed at least 1,200 people, with hundreds more missing and millions displaced. Indonesia was hardest hit, with 604 deaths and 464 missing, mainly in North Sumatra, West Sumatra, and Aceh provinces. Sri Lanka reported 366 fatalities and 367 missing, with about 218,000 people in temporary shelters after severe flooding and landslides, particularly in the central hill country. Thailand recorded 176 deaths, with the government beginning compensation payments for affected residents. Governments in the region are scaling up recovery efforts, restoring homes, roads, and power, and providing emergency aid. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto pledged to rebuild infrastructure and assist displaced families. Highlighting the need for stronger climate adaptation and disaster preparedness, over 1.5 million people across the affected regions have been impacted, with hundreds of thousands still reliant on airlifts and temporary shelters. On sports, Nigerian striker Umar Sadiq returned to Real Sociedad's starting lineup for the La Liga clash against Villarreal at the Real Arena, helping cover for several unavailable attacking players. Although Sociedad lost 1-0 with a last-minute goal from Villarreal's Mulero coach, Sergio Francisco commended Sadiq's work rate and determination throughout the game. He noted that just 3 months ago, starting Sadiq was considered unthinkable due to team integration issues. Sadiq was substituted in the 56th minute for Mr. Anda Baranexia, and supporters recognized his efforts, applauding his movement and commitment despite not influencing the final result. Francisco emphasized the striker's contribution in maintaining team dynamics and highlighted the importance of everyone's efforts as Sociedad navigates a challenging period with injuries and absence in the squad. Moving on, Juventus striker Dusan Vlahovic will be sidelined until at least February after sustaining a high-grade groin injury during the 2-1 Serie A win over Cagliari in Turin. The 25-year-old Serbia international was forced off in the first half, and medical tests confirmed significant muscle damage in his left groin. Further consultations will determine the best course of treatment. Vlahovic has scored 6 goals this season, split evenly between Serie A and the Champions League, and has recently reclaimed his role as Juve's starting centre-forward after a summer in which the club considered offloading him due to his contract expiring at the end of the season. Under new coach Luciano Spalletti, Juventus are currently 7th in the Serie A standings, 5 points behind leaders AC Milan and Napoli. The team will need to adjust its attack while Vlahovic recovers. And that's our news at this hour. Before we go, a recap of our top points. Nigeria grants asylum to Guinea-Bissau opposition candidate. EFCC places former AGF Malami on daily interrogation schedule. First Lady Oluremi Tinubu calls for national support to achieve HIV-free Nigeria by 2030. Former Chairman Honor Petition Senate seeks rejection of Mr. Reno Omokri's ambassadorial nomination. Governor Mbah launches high-tech drones equipment to strengthen Enugu security. Kogi Council Chair shuts down filling station over alleged fuel supply to bandits. On business, reps query Azura power plant over undisclosed 18 billion naira excess tariff payments. Foreign U.S. envoys heads to Moscow as President Zelensky rallies European support. And on sports, Real Sociedad coach praises Umar Sadiq's comeback. Thanks for watching. For breaking news, exclusive interviews and more, follow us online at ComfortTV.channel on all platforms. Remember to like and share our videos, subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future updates. My name is Faith Kevin. Until next time, stay informed, stay connected.